Before mounting the cylinder head, ensure that the engine is at TDC. That the marking on the balancer shaft timing chain sprocket is at 6 o'clock. And that the cams of the fourth cylinder point upwards. A new cylinder head gasket must always be used. Pay attention to the centering sleeves when fitting it. Tighten the new cylinder head bolts in the sequence shown, applying the torques and angles of rotation specified in the service literature. Recut the threads and fit the 4 timing case Torx bolts using screw locking compound. The reference points for fitting the timing chains are marked by coloured chain links. Fit the timing chain from above. To mount the camshaft sprockets, the ridges on the camshaft sprocket must engage in the camshaft groove. Fit the timing chain onto the intake side camshaft sprocket and attach the camshaft sprocket to the camshaft. The copper-coloured chain link must be positioned against the INT marking for intake. This is also identified by the diamond. Tighten the new bolt, applying the required torque and angle of rotation. Attach the guide rail. And mount the tension rail. Fit the upper guide rail bolt. Fix the chain at the marking on the camshaft timing chain sprocket using a plastic wedge. Fit the torsional vibration damper. And eliminate the slack in the timing chain between the intake side camshaft sprocket and the chain sprocket. Insert the exhaust camshaft sprocket into the timing chain. Turn the exhaust camshaft at the hexagon until the ridges on the sprocket are seated in the guide on the camshaft. The colour-coded chain link must be positioned against the EXH marking for exhaust and the triangle. Tighten the new bolt applying the required torque and angle of rotation. Another method of installing the camshaft timing chain begins after mounting the intake side sprocket. For this purpose, special service tool KM6148 is fitted. Fix the intake camshaft sprocket in place using the special service tool. Fit the chain at the marking on the camshaft timing chain sprocket after mounting the guide rail and tension rail. Insert the exhaust camshaft sprocket into the timing chain with the EXH marking positioned against the colour-coded chain link. Turn the exhaust camshaft until the ridges on the sprocket are seated in the guide on the camshaft. The special service tool's second pin will now fit too. Then recut the threads and fit the upper sliding rail using screw locking compound. By turning it clockwise, lock the internal piston of the chain tensioner on the last notch. Insert the chain tensioner using new seal rings. It's released automatically when the engine is started. Remove the wedge and the cloth. Important. After installing the chain tensioner and removing the wedge, the colour-coded chain links must be in alignment with the markings on the sprockets. If this is not the case, the timing chain must be refitted. Now, remove the crankshaft seal ring and fit the timing case with a new gasket. Fit protective sleeve KM6105 onto the crankshaft journal. Slide the new silicone grease-coated seal ring onto the protective sleeve. Using the second disc of special service tool KM6105, press the crankshaft seal ring into the timing case using the torsional vibration damper bolt. Then remove the special service tools. Install the torsional vibration damper with a new bolt. And tighten using KMJ 38122A and KM 956-1 as described in the service literature. To check the timing, turn the engine 720 degrees in the direction of rotation. until the timing case and torsional vibration damper markings are in alignment. The cams of the fourth cylinder should point upwards. Timing can only be checked by means of special service tool KM6148, as the coloured chain links are of no significance once the engine has turned. The pins must fit into the large bores in the camshaft sprockets. If the timing is not correct, the timing chain must be reinstalled. When installing, the lug on the ribbed V-belt tensioner engages into the bore in the timing case. When fitting the ribbed V-belt, note the running direction. Install the cylinder head cover and the ignition module. The balancer shafts are always changed with the engine removed. For this purpose, the engine must be in the fourth cylinder TDC position. Remove the ignition module and the cylinder head cover. The cams of the fourth cylinder point upwards. Remove the ribbed V-belt. The tensioner and the torsional vibration damper. Then, remove the camshaft timing chain tensioner, the upper sliding rail, and the exhaust side camshaft sprocket. Remove the upper bolt of the camshaft timing chain guide rail, the timing case with gasket. The guide rail and the tension rail. Subsequently, loosen the intake side camshaft sprocket and remove together with the camshaft timing chain. Remove the balancer shaft timing chain tensioner. Undo the tension rail, as well as both guide rails. Remove the balancer shaft timing chain. Unscrew the exhaust side balancer shaft. Now remove the intake side balancer shaft. Caution: the balancer shafts differ in terms of the sprocket position, which means that they must not be transposed. They are marked accordingly. Before fitting, coat the sliding surface of the balancer shafts with oil. The balancer shafts must turn easily. Tighten the fastening bolts for the balancer shafts to the specified torque. Fit the timing chain. Starting with the copper-coloured chain link at the marking on the intake side balancer shaft. Position the second light-coloured chain link at the marking on the exhaust side balancer shaft, and the third light-coloured chain link at the marking on the balancer shaft timing chain sprocket. It's now possible to install the two guide rails and the tension rail. Turn and compress the chain tensioner. And lock with special service tool KM6077. Install the chain tensioner. And remove the locking pin. If the markings are not in alignment after installing the chain tensioner, the chain must be refitted. As a further check, the marking on the balancer shaft timing chain sprocket must be at 6 o'clock. The arrow on the exhaust side balancer shaft must point downwards, and the arrow on the intake side balancer shaft upwards. The previous section, removing and installing the cylinder head, provided an in-depth account of installing the camshaft timing chain. After installing the chain tensioner, all markings on the camshaft timing chain must be in alignment. If not, the timing chain must be refitted. Install the timing case. And a new crankshaft seal ring. After installing the torsional vibration damper, turn the engine through 720 degrees at the crankshaft. Until the timing case and torsional vibration damper markings are aligned. The cams of the fourth cylinder point upwards. Install Special Service Tool KM6148 to check the timing. The pins must fit into the large bores in the camshaft sprockets. The coloured chain links no longer have any significance. Continue assembling the engine.